really good, but I had to ask him, what does your T-shirt actually say in Braille? And he said the T-shirts translated from Braille say, if you can read this, it's sexual harassment. Like I say, I'm a great fan.
One thing I want to mention before I forget, Tom, is that the Comedy Caravan has received a number of awards and recognition. One of them is the Professional Comedians Association. I think there's 4 clubs that were rated the best comedy clubs in the USA that are affiliated with TSM.
Actually, the Professional Comedians Association, which is kind of like the Musicians Union, voted for the comedians' opinion the best clubs in the industry. And Kentucky and California were the only 2 states to have 2 of the top 15 clubs in the industry. Our club here and our sister club in Lexington at Comedy Off-Broadway were 2 of the top 16 clubs in the industry, and actually our offices here represented 4 of the comedians' top 16 clubs, a club in Cleveland and a club in Colorado Springs, along with the 2 clubs here in Kentucky.
And also, I heard somewhere that TSM booked more comedy hours than any agency.
Well, during what I'll call the salad days of the comedy club industry, from the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s, when the comedy club growth was so enormous, yes, for many years our offices here were the largest single source of work for nightclub comedians in the industry. A comedian could work full-time just doing work for our offices. If you were going to play a club 3 times every 2 years, we had too much work for you to do that, even if you didn't take a day off.
But comedy, the entertainment business of comedy went through a recession, didn't it?
It did. In the mid-'90s, all of the clubs that got into the comedy business, not because they were interested in stand-up comedy, but because it was an option to disco, an option to a DJ. It was the guys trying to sell booze off of comedy. And by the mid-'90s, all of those people had enough, because comedy audiences are not big drinkers. My average customer here consumes about 2.3 beverages in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I've heard people say there's no pressure to have to order more drinks here, which is a nice...
Well, there's no... The comedy industry normally would have a dollar minimum or a beverage minimum. And that's something that I've never been willing to do. I'm not really interested in selling booze. All of my profit comes at the box office, and none of it comes over the bar.
Boy, that's the opposite of usual nightclubs. It's usually 95% booze and 5% the door, right? Something more like that.
Well, my revenue is generated for the box office, not over the bar.
Tom, how do you deal with sensitive the many entertainers who must come to you seeking help with their careers, and there's just aren't that many slots to help all these people. I remember reading 10 years ago that you were swamped with material then. I can't imagine what it's like. Well, I can't imagine. I was up in your office a few minutes ago. It was like the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, promotional material upstairs, we have promotional material on file on in excess of 3,000 comedy variety performers. Pretty much everyone that is in the business or has ever been in the business.
A beehive of activity.
That it is. It comes and it goes in a hurry. And you cannot satisfy everyone. If you try to please everyone, you please no one. So what we do is understand that these are performers. They're looking to have a job. They have an ego, and we're not here to crush it. We want everyone to be a genius. They just need to understand that no matter how many jobs we have, there will always be more talented people available to us than we can work with. But on the good side, that means that if I get a phone call this afternoon from a resort operator in Bozeman, Montana, and he has 300 engineers at his place and needs somebody to entertain them tomorrow night after dinner, there's a 100% assurance that I'll be able to have an appropriate performer in Bozeman, Montana tomorrow night. does not matter where a comedian is needed or what a comedian is needed for. If IBM calls and they want to hire a comedian for something, my first question is, well, on what budget? Because if it's on a big budget, well, we'll get you a former IBM staff employee from Atlanta named Jeff Foxworthy. And if it's on a smaller budget, we'll get you a former IBM staff programmer from Dallas, Texas, who lives in Los Angeles that's not as well known, Rashawn McDonald. The trick is to know who's correct for the background of what show. Bankers, well, we have a whole slew of comedians who specialize in banking events. Physicians, whatever the need might be, it can all be customized and specialized. That's, if we have an advantage in our position, that's what it is, and we try to have the comedians understand that our job is to try to get the most appropriate act at the show. Having a bookable act is a long way from getting a booking. There are lots of people with bookable acts. The question becomes is, which one is the right one for this date? And that has to do with who else is on the bill and what styles of humor do they have. It has to do with what style of comedy was in that venue the last time there was a show. What to book to come into that venue for the next show. It's all about trying to run a schedule where it's not monochromatic, where it continues to change. If a customer comes here 4 weeks in a row, I want them to see stylistically 4 very different shows.
Well, let me ask you this, Tom. I know that you need to be getting back to your many phone calls. As I've said, the phone's ringing off the hook upstairs. But we are privileged to present on Louisville Late Night one of our upcoming comedians, and I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about.
Well, actually, I think what we're going to do is we're going to give you some videotape of a recent appearance by Louisville native and Ballard High School alumni Bernie Lubbers, who's a favorite on the Bob and Tom radio show.
Everybody's heard of Bob and Tom.
Well, Bernie has composed the Louisville song, and it's all about things Louisville. And it's like Bob Batch, who's a Trinity High School graduate, who asks his audience, how many Louisville natives do we have here? I've been here so long I remember Muhammad Ali by his original name.
Yeah, me too.
Walnut Street.
Yeah.
That joke won't work in Boston, and it's only a Louisville joke. So Bernie and his Louisville material and Bob Batch and Louisville material have agreed to allow us to release some stuff for you to be able to use in your show, and we're happy to be able to do that. I'm hoping that Haywood Banks is going to give us permission to use some of the video we do of his. Actually, here at the club, there's a 4-camera video mixer built into the club, and we shoot multiple camera video every night. So they're in excess of 10,000 hours of logged video of the shows just here in Louisville, here in our offices.
But it's hard to break into that vault.
Well, it's hard to break into the vault.
Do you think Louisville Late Night can creep in and maybe get another upcoming performer later on in the fall or something and put a little on?
The right performer at the right time, the things that can be done. Some people say yes. A lot of comedians do not want their material utilized on shows. They're concerned about its inappropriate use, resale, re-airing, and everything else.
Right, or plagiarism, people stealing it.
It's people still, but with the Louisville material and everything else, well, we have material that's not going to work for anybody anyplace else, so we're happy to be able to help you with that to start with.
Tom, thank you so much for coming and talking with us today. And everyone back at their home in Louisville, I want to mention to you that to find out the latest happenings at the Comedy Club here, just go to...
Well, you can either call us or you can go to our website at comedycaravan.com.
comedycaravan.com. And there's just a plethora of talent and cornucopia of laughs on Louisville Late Night and on the Comedy Caravan. And once again, Tom, thank you so much for being with us. And any last word for the...
People, come catch a comedy show. It's good for you, and we're going to be funny with you.
I like it. You like Louisville? You like Louisville? Like living here? I like it. There's always one. I hate it here. There's nothing to do. Bars are open till 4. Can't find a thing to do around this place. Got restaurants around here. You got Ramsey's across the street. I love that place. I love that place. Late night food. Oh, ever been to Indy's Wings? I'm excited now. I mean, The thought of Indy's Wings, and you know, right there, 12th and Broadway, I'm not talking about those other wussy locations. I'm talking about the one that's the good one.